Through. Thank you so much for being here. I want to thank the British Council for putting this event together every year. It's just such a pleasure to attend it every year and be part of it. RLCC has been taking part in this event for a few years now. Initially, we used to get the stall to sell the products that our artisans were making, and then a couple of years our artisans also got to attend the exhibition. So we transported buses of these craftswomen to come to the event, although they're in Karachi this year, and so sadly they couldn't be here. So I'm really excited also to take this opportunity today to learn from all of you. So to learn, first we need to ask some questions. So I have some questions. I woke up this morning thinking, why is it so foggy in Lahore? And then I thought, why wasn't it so cold in Karachi at all this year? Our winter season this year was very short. We hardly had a winter in Karachi. Did you know that this past summer of 2023 was the hottest summer ever recorded in history? And why is that? What is climate change? What is sustainability? And then I was thinking, okay, how do we say sustainability in Urdu? So I kind of looked up the definition, and I really like this, so I'm going to read the definition for you in Urdu. ये ऐसा तर्ज़ अमल है जिसमें कुदरती वसाइल का इस्तेमाल इस अंदाज़ में किया जाए कि वो मुस्तक़बिल की नस्लों के लिए भी महफूज रहे. सादा अल्फाज में पायदारी सस्टेनेबिलिटी का मतलब है कि हम ज़मीन, माहौल और वसाइल को इस तरीक़े से इस्तेमाल करें जो लंबे अरसे तक मुतवाज़िन और फ़ायदेमंद रहे. I really liked this definition, so I thought I'd share it with you. There is an American environmental analyst by the name of Lester Brown who said a very beautiful quote, which I would also like to share with you. We have not inherited the earth from our forefathers, we have borrowed it from our children. And then I translated this again in Urdu, and it turned out to be really beautiful. हमने ये ज़मीन अपने आबा व अजदाद से विरासत में नहीं पाई, बल्कि अपने बच्चों के मुस्तक़बिल से उधार ली है. I want you to take a moment to ask yourself, the clothes you're wearing today, did you buy them in the last week? Just look at your clothes and just think, where did you get them from? Did you buy them in the last week? Did you buy them in the last month? Did you buy them in the last year? Did you buy them in the last 5 years? The last decade? The last 2 decades? Did it once belong to your mother? Did it once belong to your grandmother? Was it passed down over 2 generations? Did you borrow it from your sister, from your cousin, or from your best friend? Did you buy it on a trip somewhere memorable when you went on a vacation with your family to the mountains 15 years ago? Did you feel the fabric, admire the workmanship, or the patterns, or the embroidery when you were buying it in the store? Or did you start Or did Instagram start showing you many posts and pages that said in big shiny text, discount 30%, 50%, 70%? Did you know that companies that can offer such high discounts can afford to do so because the materials that they use are very low quality and the wages and salaries that they are paying to the workers are very low and very inhuman, as Abdurrahman has also mentioned in his report? Why are these workers working there? Because they need the jobs to survive. The poor are getting poorer as these big fashion retail companies are getting richer. And who is making these companies richer? The consumer. Who is the consumer? Me. Who is the consumer? You. So the next time you want to buy many things on discount, please ask yourself, who is selling it? Who has made it? What is this garment and what are the materials made from, and where did these materials come from? I bought this from the Pakistan Pavilion stall at the Global Village in Dubai, my first year of university in 2002. I've cherished this beautiful Kashmiri hand-embroidered jacket for 23 years now and will continue to do so for many more years to come. It's timeless, it's classic, it's lasted me many winter seasons and will do so for many more. I personally really enjoy collecting clothes. I'm a hoarder, but I don't buy. So clothes get passed down to me in the family from my sister, my cousins, and then they get passed around within the family. So my niece, gave me something 5 years ago. She calls back and says, Khala, do you still have that in your cupboard? Can I have it back? I lost weight. So there's, portlies and bags and suitcases below the bed, in the cupboard, above the cupboard, it's all over the place. But I like styling things together, so that way they don't become redundant. You're not repeating, because we have this in our culture, right? You don't want to repeat the same outfit at, 4 different weddings. So if you own different pieces that are timeless, you can pair them together and just have fun with it. So I've enjoyed collecting these pieces, and I'm sure that a lot of you also have, such timeless heirlooms from your nani Sandook in your closets as well. I dreamt of my nani this morning. I can't remember the last time I dreamt of her. But she used to teach all of the women in her neighborhood how to cut and sew clothes over her dining table. And every time I think about her, her voice, repeats in my ear that, "Beta, ye sahi nahi bana, isko kholo, dobara banao." Like, you didn't get the stitch right, open it, and try to redo it. There was a time when our clothes were stitched in our homes by our mothers and our sisters. Clothes that got damaged were mended and repaired. Clothes that were beyond repair were cut into pieces to be used as rag cloth. And even those at the end of their life cycle were stitched together and placed inside the layers of the quilt or inside the layers of the ralli, only to give life to another useful belonging to keep us warm on days like today, cold and foggy. When did we lose this culture? When did we stop these practices? Where did my nani's craft and wisdom go? We talk about climate change, sustainability, how to save the planet. We talk about let's recycle, recycle, recycle. It's only a cover-up so that we can continue producing more plastic. And why do we need to produce more plastic? Can't we go back to the time when we used and reused a tiffin for food? Where did all the tiffins go? Where did all the pots and pans from my nani's house go? Where did her belongings go? Where will your belongings go after you've moved on from this beautiful planet? We've stopped questioning because we're too busy with our daily fast-paced lives. And until we don't start questioning again, we won't find answers and we won't find solutions. The fashion industry, so there's some stats in this talk, which Abdurrahman has also said, and I will reiterate because it's important to reiterate these facts and figures. The fashion industry contributes 10% of global carbon emissions, more than all international flights and maritime shipping combined, which is also the stat that you said, which is bizarre. It blew my mind, by the way, that, oh my God, we're making more pollution than the cars. Every year, 92 million tons of textile waste are generated globally, with only 15% being recycled. The rest of it ends up in landfills or is burnt, incinerated, releasing harmful toxins into the air, which also adds to the fog in Lahore, by the way. Some of this waste comes to the organization where I work at. So as Fatma gave a lovely introduction, I don't know how many of you have known of RLCC before, but this organization was started in 1954 by a visionary lady who also had many questions to ask 70 years ago. And if she didn't ask those questions, then this organization would not be doing the great work that it's doing today. This lady was the first lady of Pakistan by the name of Begum Rana Liaqat Ali Khan. She was a very well-dressed, elegant lady who wore stunning, beautiful, regionally adorned embroidery, handmade clothes. After partition, she questioned, well, where's all of this embroidery and where are all of these craftspeople gonna go? So she built a housing society for them in Karachi. And then after they built the housing society, the community started asking questions saying, okay, where are all the ladies who are expecting babies gonna go? So she built a clinic for them. And then they said, okay, where are all the kids gonna go to school? So they built a school for them. And then they said, okay, what about the young girls who need to, learn the skill and how are we gonna pass it down? So they built vocational training classes in embroidery and sewing and beautician courses. And so today, as Fatma also mentioned, RLCC is supporting over 20,000 beneficiaries a year through its various programs. So they built a community which was a holistic community, so everything that they required was within that space, and so they didn't have to spend too much on travel cost. So RLCC today is one of the leading women empowerment organizations. We partnered with Hunar Foundation last year, and we've started computer graphics courses for the young ladies. So the organization does skill development. We're also going to add a few more courses this year, because why are we only limiting women to sewing, embroidery, beautician? They can contribute to so many more professions. So hopefully we're going to start a program which is going to teach them how to ride motorbikes very soon. And also call center, receptionist, entrepreneurs, businesswomen, healthcare, patient care, babysitting. There's so much more that we can teach women to do. Why have we only restricted them to this? So the question is, I asked before, where do our belongings go after we leave this world? Well, some of it comes to the livelihood program at RLCC, where we sort through these clothes that can be reused, which we sell back to the community at we sort through the clothes, whatever can be reused, we sell back to the community at low prices. Whatever that cannot be reused, we then upcycle and repurpose into new products. This department supports now over 450 home-based women, so the bar's gone up. It was 250 last year, it's 450 this year, that are generationally skilled in various handcrafted textile techniques such as sewing, embroidery, crochet, basketry, hand loom, block printing, tie-dye, and various others. The Livelihood Department reaches out to major textile factories and designers to donate their textile waste to prevent it from reaching the landfills. We then sort through all of this waste and ideate with the artisans on the products that they would like to make, and then we market it for them. This cuts down on purchase of new materials and their cost, and presents solutions for textile waste, all while providing opportunities for sustaining the livelihoods of these talented artisans. These women who have spent their entire lives mastering the art of traditional textile making, their work is disappearing. It's overshadowed by a fashion industry obsessed with speed and mass production. This isn't just a loss of craft, it's a loss of history, culture, and livelihood. RLCC empowers such women and helps them reclaim their place in this industry, not as invisible laborers, but as celebrated artisans and entrepreneurs. Again, another stat. Did you know that it takes 3,000 gallons of water and 3 kgs of carbon emissions in the air to produce 1 garment of cotton clothing? 3,000 gallons of water for 1 garment of cotton clothing. Did you know that most of the cotton we wear is picked by women and children in the cotton fields? Children that should be in school. I have seen this firsthand, and when I worked on that project that focused on eliminating eliminating child labor, I couldn't unsee it after I saw it, so that's when I stopped shopping. The image still haunts me. What led me to see this unfortunate truth was the years of questioning that I did. In '99, when I was doing my high school final project, I traveled to Quetta to document the dying embroideries of Balochistan, where for the first time in my life, I stepped into a village and saw the poverty and disparity. Yet the people seemed very content and happy. I questioned, why was I born in a fortunate family and they weren't? For my first project in my photography class in university, I visited this location in Karachi called Gharibabad, which is a kachra kundi. It's a landfill for garbage, where the children were playing on piles and piles of garbage. And I questioned where all this trash was coming from and where would it go? If it goes anywhere at all, which it doesn't. It just piles layers over layers over layers. Have you ever noticed the side of a road that's being constructed and there's just layers and layers and layers of plastic bags? Has anyone ever seen that? Then a few years later, when I was studying fashion design and trying to be a famous fashion designer to fulfill my lifelong dream of being a fashion designer on fashion TV, my sustainability professor asked us to watch a documentary called Addicted to Plastic, which brought awareness. And some documentaries I'm going to mention, please go and find them and watch them. They're truly amazing and eye-opening. So there's one called Addicted to Plastic, which brought awareness to the large areas of plastic that collect in the Pacific Ocean, which is killing the marine life. This documentary came out sometime in 2008. We also watched a documentary called The True Cost, which opened my eyes to the horrible working and labor conditions inside factories and sweatshops in Bangladesh that are making clothes for major fast fashion brands like Zara and H&M. And I asked myself, does the world really need me to be another fashion designer? Luckily, I enjoyed the act and process of making crafts and embroidery with my hands and stitched. So I switched gears to support local artisans in sustaining their crafts. And I went looking for organic cotton only to discover that there was no organic cotton and to discover that all the cotton was picked by children. I was fortunate to have received an education mentored by good teachers that pushed me to question, because I know firsthand that most women in this country don't have the right to education or the right to question. So it's my job to question on their behalf. When will we open our eyes and change our shopping habits? We have to act now, because it's already almost too late. I recently watched a documentary on Netflix, which came out very recently, called Buy Now. Please go home and watch it tonight. So that you can understand better how the fast fashion industry is affecting us and the environment. Then I questioned, why don't we translate these documentaries into the local regional languages so that the masses can be aware of this issue of sustainability and climate change? And so that it's not just limited to us, the fortunate ones, to be educated and to have the access to this information, because they also largely contribute to this problem. So I'm really, really proud of the report which has been launched today, and I'm really proud of Abdurrahman's hard work for all this time. And the fact that he's been able to compile this report because he asked the right questions. And he asked questions, and he just went around asking people questions. And that's how this report came into being. And this report is what we need for us. This is us. This is for us. We did this. You know, this is not an international information. This is what where we're standing. So please read it. It's phenomenal. Thank you for sharing it with me sooner. It really opened my eyes. We live in a time where fashion is faster and cheaper than ever. We see new trends emerging weekly, and garments are discarded just as quickly. What we don't always see is the real cost of the system. The damage isn't just environmental. As we mentioned earlier, millions of garment workers worldwide face exploitative conditions, earning wages far below the living standard. In Pakistan, 2.5 million people work in the textile sector, many in hazardous environments with minimal worker protections. We bear an even heavier burden as our textile industry absorbs the environmental and social costs of global consumption. But within this crisis, there lies an opportunity. Pakistan's textile heritage is centuries old, and many of our traditional techniques are inherently sustainable, low waste, earth-friendly, and deeply connected to the communities that practice them. At RLCC, with supporting these 450 home-based craftswomen who produce eco-friendly and upcycled products, these women don't just make textiles, they tell stories through their work. They transform discarded fabrics into beautiful new pieces. They use age-old dyeing techniques that don't poison our rivers. They create with intention and care values that the modern fashion industry desperately needs to remember. One key fact to remember is that if the fashion industry continues at its current pace, by 2050 it will consume 26% of the world's carbon budget. Meanwhile, traditional small-scale textile production emits significantly less carbon and creates far less waste. By investing in these time-honored methods, we are not just preserving culture, we are fighting climate change. What is your role in the future of Pakistani fashion? Sustainable fashion isn't just about designers and producers. It's about all of us. Every time we buy something, we cast a vote for the kind of world we want to live in. So I ask you, what kind of consumer do you want to be? Imagine a future where we invest in quality over quantity. Did you know that wearing a garment for just 9 extra months reduces its environmental impact by 20 to 30%? Imagine a future where we support brands that value fair wages and ethical production. Right now, less than 2% of garment workers earn a living wage. Imagine a world where we celebrate the crafts and culture that have existed long before sustainability became a trend. Over 60% of traditional hand-weaving practices are at risk of disappearing due to industrialization. This future isn't just possible, it's necessary. So today I leave you with a challenge. The next time you pick a piece of clothing, ask yourself, who made this? What materials were used? Where will this go when I no longer need it? Where did it come from, and where is it going to go? Seek out brands that are transparent, educate yourself on materials, and whenever possible, support artisans who are keeping our traditions alive. And if you're in a position to do more, invest in women-led enterprises, advocate for policies that protect workers, and help bring sustainability from the margins to the mainstream. Every person in this room has the power to make a difference. The fashion industry won't change overnight, but every decision we make, every garment we choose, moves us one step closer to a more just and sustainable world. Fashion is more than fabric. It is culture, identity, and power. We have the chance to redefine it, not just as an industry, but as a force for good. If we embrace sustainability, support ethical production, and uplift the voices of artisans, we can create a system that respects both people and the planet. Let's not wait for the world to change. Let's be the ones to change it. Thank you so much.